Hey man, this is Chris the Phone Cats, and here's another ranty deck list vid tutorial strategy tactics for Liliana's Obedient Dead deck. With the expansion out now and me having all the unlocks, I feel like it was due for a retouch. And yeah, let's go through what I'm playing, what I'm not playing, and just, you know, talking about cards. Maybe normally I learn stuff from these videos. I hope someone else learns something. Like, I always end up arguing with myself. Okay, a little precursor. I feel like this deck is probably the best, along with the green-black out there. There's just so much control and removal, and there's so many threats. Like, once we get to the middle of this deck, everything is just a threat. Okay, let's get this going. Well, I guess we'll just go in order of casting costs like normal. Innocent Blood, 1 mana, each player sacrifices a creature. You just kind of slow play this and use it to take out one of your opponent's dudes and play it at a time to where you will lose nothing. Yeah, there's no reason why you would want to play this to when both of you would sacrifice a creature. It's kind of akin to Diabolic Edict, which is in the black-green deck, and that's how you want to play it, to where it only... You want to play it when it only hurts your opponent, which is pretty logical, but, you know, might as well throw it out there. Myers Toll's pretty dope. 1 mana, target player reveals cards from his or her hand equal to the number of swamps you control. You choose one and discard that card. This really reminds me of Duress from the old school Magic kids out there. I play this when it's like around turn 4 or 5, and my opponent has under 4 or 5 cards in his hand. So I get to look at his entire hand, take out that one fatty card that's going to have like a big impact in the game soon. And yeah, I mean, it's really frustrating to play against when someone does this and they get to look at your entire hand and pick that one creamy card that was the reason that you were holding on to this deck or holding on to hope, and you haven't like rage quit yet. It's just so strong. Don't be a dope and play this like on turn 1 and have them just show you their like least expendable or most expendable card. Crippling Blight. I have lost games because of this, because of someone's crazy thing that kills you if it hits you. So it has some uses, but I took it out. Cool art too. It's like this elfy looking girl and like her hands are turning all demonic. It gives the creature -1/-1 and it can't block. So if you are playing some removal heavy deck, this can like take out something with 1 toughness, and any like wall or chump blocker that they had intentions of using all of a sudden is just not even an issue. But yeah, I took it out for more powerful stuff. I'm not playing with Fume Spitter, and apparently that's like, I don't know, like a faux pas. Do you see the ties between Fume Spitter and Crippling Blight? How they're very similar, how they both give a creature -1/-1, but this one is basically a 1 mana for 1/1. So yeah, if you're constantly playing goblins or some kind of deck to where you need to be just pulling out these 1/1 or taking out things with 1 toughness, then consider throwing that in. You have the option of playing with 2 Innocent Bloods. I'm playing with 1. And then if you're playing against weenie decks all day, you can just be playing like this early game where you're just dishing out -1/-1 counters. It's so crazy. I mean, like, you can play Crippling Blights, Fume Spitters, and Blister Beetles and just be this deck that is constantly dishing out -1, -1. But yeah, that's not my specific style. You can play with 2 Exsanguinate. God damn, that's a weird word. It's like a drain life pseudo card. Each opponent loses X life and you gain life equal to the life lost in this way. A couple cool points. It loses X life. So if they have anything that's like damage mitigation, like Pariah, to where it redirects damage, or just anything that prevents them from taking damage, this goes right through it because it makes them lose X life. And if you're one of those funky dudes that plays 2-headed giant, this is nice because it goes for each opponent loses X life. So let's say each person loses 5 life and then you would gain 10. Little nice balance there. I'm playing with one of those. I passed on these Dread Warlocks, 3 mana for a 2/2, and it can't be blocked except by black creatures. It kind of sucks now because Rakdos and the black-green deck have those gold cards, so there's going to be way more decks that can block it. But, I don't know. It's just like a nice little clock. I was kind of debating on whether I should play this or the thing that makes them take damage whenever they draw cards. Underworld Dreams, and I went with Underworld Dreams. I don't know. There's just a lot of creature removal, and you can view it as removal bait, but I don't know. Right now, I'm not playing with it. I am playing with the medallions, which kind of surprises me. I might pop those out later, but we'll see. Yeah, all your black spells cost 1 less to cast. And let's see what the immediate benefiters are. Oh yeah, I'm almost solely playing with it to be able to do a turn 3 befoul. I just really like that. Yeah, nothing else is really advantageous besides it just speeding up everything by 1 turn. I don't know. I got a lot of 2, 3s, and 4s, so maybe I'll pull out the medallions for some other stuff. Alright, let's keep this rolling. Last Kiss. 3 mana, deals 2 damage to target creature, and you gain 2 life. It's an instant, so you can do some funkiness and response stuff, and gaining 2 life is always nice. It kind of balances out a Sign in Blood in a quick fashion, and this deck is a little masochistic to where you're hurting yourself to get an advantage. I'm playing with 2 of the Shades. 2 mana for a 2/1, that's fine, and then it has a Pump Up, where you pay 1 black, it gets +1/+1. I like it. I mean, it seems solid, and I'm not playing with the other Shades, the Lilianas, but I am playing with the Jet Medallion, so I don't know. I might need to like have some personal debates against that. These Warpath Ghouls are trash. 3 mana for a 3/2, get out of town. I'm going to say the same thing for the Bloodhunter Bats. 4 mana for a 2/2, and when it comes into play, target player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. I don't know. I mean, if it was 4 mana when it came into play, it dealt 4 damage, I might play with it. And I definitely wouldn't play with it if it was 4 mana and then you gain 4 life. But I don't like this 2/2 balance. It's just kind of a little weird to me. Doesn't seem to be enough of a tide turner. Sign in Blood is dope. I mean, I always cast it on myself unless I have like both Underworld Dreams out or it's a game winner. But yeah, if you have both Underworld Dreams out and you do that, they take 6 damage, which is nice. But most of the time, I'm just doing it to myself. I'm either digging for a swamp or just rooting for a power card. Infest is OP. There's so many decks that you're going to play against to where this will make someone rage quit. It takes out Elves, Exalteds, just weenie decks of any variety. -2/-2 is potent. It's just a good card. Let's see. Will it kill any of the weenies that I've mentioned so far? I've been in situations where I did have to pump up my Shade enough to wipe their side of the board and then attack and the Shade goes through. So that happens. It won't kill your Nighthawk. And yeah, everything else is a fatty. It's so weird. At the end of this vid, I'm going to have to look at how many creatures I'm playing with because it really isn't that many. I'm playing with 4 murders. I just love having that much creature control. It doesn't even say non-black creature or non-artifact, so in those weird situations, that'll help you out. Underworld Dreams is hot. I just looked at the art for the first time. There's like weird bat mouths on the top and then eyeballs on the bottom. Pretty scary. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Underworld Dreams deals 1 damage to him or her. If you play this against the red-blue deck, they're going to be in a bad spot. So much of their deck is about drawing like 3 cards and then discarding 1 or 2. And they just take damage all over the place. It's nice. Vampire Nighthawk makes people rage. I mean, it doesn't look like that much, but it's pretty sweet. I mean, I think there's a reason they only gave you 1 of these. 3 mana for a 2/3. Flying, Death Touch, Lifelink. So if your opponent's playing a Weenie Rush deck, I mean, you can block, and that's enough to kill a 2/2 or a 2/1. It has Lifelink, so if they do attack, and you end up blocking something and killing it, not only are they going to lose a creature, but everything else that makes it through is going to get counterbalanced a little bit by the Lifelink. And then it has Death Touch and Flying, so if they have some super beastly fatty flyer, it'll get taken out of the picture. It's just a nice combo. That's like 3 nice attributes to have. Let's keep moving. Befoul is dope. With so many multicolored decks now, I love killing land. I might start playing the Exalted deck more because it has that 3 casting cost one. And I have been playing Yeva a little bit more because killing people's lands is just such a nice thing. If you have your opponent's deck down, like you know their mana curve and what lands they need to have 2 of, if not 3 of, to get like their power cards out, you can just target those and it cripples them so bad. Cool art with all those purpley cockroaches. Diabolic Tutor. Go grab your Phyrexian Obliterator. You grab any card. Yeah, if they're super land screwed and crippled, you can grab a Befoul. Or most of the time I end up grabbing a Corrupt, because at that point in the game, it's late enough to where I need life and they need less life. You can play with 2 Icy Manipulators, and this card's pretty hot. In response to them declaring their attack phase, you can tap their biggest creature. You can tap one of their lands so that they're just mana screwed more. It's just nice. It's like the best control card. I like it. I'm playing with 1, but I mean, if you get 2 on the board and it's late enough game to where you can get them both going, it's just so nice to isolate 2 of your opponent's cards, and every turn you can choose a different card, whatever's the biggest threat. It's strong. Mutilate is like the Infest on steroids. Gross picture. 4 mana, all creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn for each swamp you control. So it's definitely turn 4, unless you're doing something stupid with a Medallion, but it could be life-saving versus goblins. Turn 4, pretty much everything dies. It hurts creatures with flying. It hurts creatures with hexproof, so that helps against white-blue. I don't know. It's just like a wipe card. It's nice. This and Infest are... I almost view them the same because they're both just super hot. Okay, I passed on the Shades, and I don't know. I just feel like sometimes games end really fast, and I'm playing against a lot of rushy geared decks. And by their turn 4, if it's my turn 4 and I'm playing a Shade and grab a land, it's just kind of like nothing. I don't know. I guess you're supposed to be wiping out their side of the board and killing their creatures as you go, so that by the time it's turn 4, you can play a Shade and get away with it, and then have this pump-upable threat, and then just grab an extra land, so that's 1 less land that you're going to draw. But I've been playing with them out, and it feels fine. I really might take out the Medallions. I don't know. We'll see if I tweak my deck as this vid proceeds. Necrotal's pretty sweet. 4 mana for a 2/1. I missed the old art from Mirage or whatever expansion it was. 4 mana for a 2/1 with first strike. That's threatening as is. Like, that will put some of your opponents like high power, low toughness creatures in check. And when it enters the battlefield, you destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature. With the expansion out, it's a little bit more disadvantageous because so much stuff is red-black or red-green. No, red-black or black-green. But yeah, the creature can't be regenerated, so that kind of poo-poos on it a little bit more. It's solid. Phyrexian Obliterator is such a GG against so many decks. Man, I haven't really paid attention. Looked at that dude's mouth. That is scary. I'm gonna have nightmares now. 4 mana for a 5/5, trample. Whenever source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. I've had people do all kinds of crazy stuff to this, thinking it would kill it without dealing damage, but it ends up dealing damage to it, and then they sacrifice all their permanents and leave the game. It's just such a one-sided kind of thing. I mean, it can be Swords to Plowshared, it can be Pacifismed, it can be Dehydrationed. There's a lot of cards that will deal with it, but most of the time your opponent has already splurged them on something else. It's a great candidate for Rise from the Grave. Like, you just bring them back from the dead. It's nice. Alright, here's some damage dealing stuff. Tendrils of Corruption, it's kind of like Corrupt, hence the name. 4 mana, deals X damage to target creature, and you gain X life, where X is the number of swamps you control. So if they got some fatty out, you take it out of the picture, it's an instant, so you can do it in response to them equipping an artifact or giving it some insane buff or plus X counters. And you gain X life, so it's kind of like delaying the tide of damage. This deck has a decent amount of life gain. It's kind of surprising. Alright, more stuff I'm passing on. Halo Hunter seems weird. 5 mana, 6/3, Intimidate, so it can't be blocked except by creatures that share a color with it, I believe. And then when it enters the battlefield, destroy target angel. That effect is so rare. It's so rare to be playing a deck with angels. I mean, Exalted had angels, and I think some of the mono whites do, but besides that, dude, I've never even used that ability. I mean, I don't think I ever have, and I played with them for a good bit. I mean, and there's so many black decks now that the Intimidate isn't even that much of a thing. We touch base on Rise from the Grave. Yeah, it's good on your creatures, but most of the time I end up casting it on one of my opponent's creatures that I've killed. And then, I don't know, it's just so sweet killing your opponent with one of their own creatures. I really don't have very many creatures in this deck. It's weird like looking through that and realizing that for the first time. Corrupt, good game, man. 6 mana, Corrupt deals damage equal to the number of swamps a target creature or player, and you gain life. So it's just such a dope card. I thought the whole thing was that like Corrupt, talking about the picture, like that Corrupt stream, but it looks like that's the person. That's pretty sick. 6 mana, so yeah, let's say you're casting it on turn 7, that sounds fine. Pop you for 7, I gain 7 life. It's just a tide turner. Like, it's so ridiculous to see, like if you were both at 10, to see your opponent at 3 and you at 17. Like, I don't know, it's just so strong. Grave Titan, 6 mana for a 6/6 Death Touch, which comes into play, and whenever Grave Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, you put 2/2 black zombies into play. First time looking at the art, the zombies are coming out of his stomach. That is disgusting. Massacre Worm will make people rage quit. I mean, it's such a tide turner. There's been times to where you're going to Diabolic or Demonic Tutor for this, and it's going to be game over. 6 mana, 6/5. When it comes into play, creatures your opponent controls get -2/-2. Whenever a creature your opponent controls dies, he loses 2 life. And that's just not that turn, which sometimes I feel like it is. It's for the rest of the game. So you can win games just blocking or chump blocking and killing your opponent's creatures as they just continue to lose life. It's so powerful. Nightmare. Okay, we're getting to the fatties. That's why it doesn't seem like I have any creatures, because everything is just a 6 casting cost monster. 6 mana, Star, flying, power and toughness equal to the number of swamps. So you can see with some of this stuff about swamps, like the Corrupts and the Nightmares and the Tendrils of Corruption, why people like playing with the Lilianas Shade, because it just gives you more swamps, but I don't know. I'm not feeling it still. This is a threat. It's removal bait, just like all these big fatty creatures, but if they can't deal with it, you're just attacking with a monster. It's strong. I'm playing with both Nightmares. I really don't get this Nested Ghoul. 5 mana, 4/2. When a source deals damage to Nested Ghoul, put a 2/2 black zombie creature onto the battlefield. How many times is a source going to deal damage to Nested Ghoul that doesn't kill it? It only has 2 toughness. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't care for that at all. Nightwing Shades, 5 mana for a flyer that's a 2/2, and then it has a terrible pump-up ability, 2 mana to give it +1/+1. That's just so weak to me. I don't know who's playing Veilborn Ghoul. 5 mana for a 4/1, it can't block, and whenever you play a swamp, you can bounce it from your graveyard to your hand. So if it's crazy late game and you're at the point to where you can be spending an extra 5 mana each turn, then you can play this each turn and play a swamp, but it just seems weak, especially at turn 5. A lot of people are playing with Dread. It's 6 mana, 6/6. It is Fear, which I don't even remember what it is. I'm getting Fear and Intimidate mixed up or confused. But Fear, and whenever a creature deals damage to you, destroy it. And when it dies, whenever Dread is put into a graveyard from play, or from anywhere, shuffle it back into its owner's library. So kind of dope. I mean, it's the equivalent of No Mercy from that black deck. And it's a 6/6 with Fear. I believe that means it can't be blocked by creatures that don't share a color with it, but I don't remember what the difference between Fear and Intimidate is, so let's just keep moving. Hellcarver Demon is ridiculous. If you're playing this, you're just like masochistic, or just enjoy like the randomness. I guess it can be viewed as fun, but every time that I've played with it, it ended up not being fun. 6 mana, 6/6, flying. Whenever Hellcarver Demon deals damage to a player, sacrifice all other permanents you control and discard your hand. Exile the top 6 cards of your library, and you can cast any number of non-land cards, exiled this way without paying their mana cost. At first I thought that you might be able to catch an Epic Corrupt or something like that, but you just sacrificed all other permanents you control. So you have no swamps, you have no other creatures, and then you're just banking on the random 6 cards, pretty much like a starting hand after you mulliganed. And you can play them without their mana cost. So weird, not my thing. Nightmare Incursion is equally funky. 6 mana, sorcery. Search target player's library for up to 6 X cards, or X is the number of swamps you control. So if you cast it on turn 6, you're going through their deck and pulling 6 cards out of their library. Could be powerful. I mean, you can just grab whatever their 6 best cards are, but I don't know. It really doesn't deal with anything that's already on the board and just takes future threats out of the game. So I'm going to call it one of those win more cards right now. Or if it's just a very even game, I mean, it can like secure a victory. I'm not playing with Public Execution, but I've had it done against me, and it's kind of good. Okay, let's say your opponent's attacking with one fatty creature and a whole bunch of weenies. You destroy target creature an opponent controls, and each other creature that opponent controls gets -2/-0. So you take out the biggest threat, and much like a Public Execution, it just really like pulls down the morale of everyone else that's attacking with it. So I don't know, you can almost view it as like a baby fog, or something that just kills a creature and wipes out an opponent's attack phase, but 6 mana is a little steep for me. Instead of playing with that, I'm playing with the Gorgon, and it's really nice. I like it. 6 mana for a 3/6 with Death Touch. I play it pretty much like a wall with Death Touch and very rarely attack with it unless it's like a game winner. And then at the end of your opponent's turn, after it's blocked or if it's going to block and die, you can pay 3, tap it, and put a petrification. I always thought it was putrefaction. Like it was vomiting on it or something. But whatever, petrification turns him to stone, petrified. And that creature gains Defender and becomes a colorless artifact. Its activated abilities can still be activated, so choose wisely, but anything that's just like a big attacker, or yeah, pretty much just a big attacker, is dealt with. It can't attack anymore. It can still block because it has Defender, but I mean, just take those green decks and just start pillaging all their creatures out of the way, or at least out of the way in terms of threats. Okay, we'll wrap up with some of my 6 casting cost stuff. Here we go. I've lost to Phage the Untouchable before. It's a fun card, but I'm not playing with it. It's 7 mana. It can only be cast from your hand. If it's put into play in any other way, you lose the game. So if your opponent mind controls it, rises it from the dead, routes through your library to put it into play under their control, they lose the game, which is fun and happens. But here we go. Whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. It can't be regenerated. Here's the kicker, not literally. When Phage deals damage to a player, that player loses the game. And I've played a lot of games against Liliana to where I was playing like a light creature deck. I think maybe was Talrand, and I had a blocker. But they used that damn... they crippling blighted my one creature and killed my other creatures, and then just attacked with that for the win. So it's not like a fast win. I mean, you play it on turn 7, and then if they can't deal with it on turn 8, they lose. So that's pretty rare and makes it fun, but yeah, not playing with it. Runescarred Demon's pretty dope. It's 7 mana for a 6/6 flyer, and when it comes into play, you tutor for any card and put it in your hand. I like it. Cool art. I normally grab a Corrupt, because at this point, it's turn 7. So next turn, you can corrupt them for 8. I mean, that's strong. And right now I'm playing with these Reaver Demons. It's pretty much a GG, kind of. I mean, it's 8 mana, which is pretty steep. But you could Runescarred Demon for it if you needed to. And as long as you're playing against a deck that's not black, so not this deck, not black-red or black-green, which is pretty common because they're popular decks, you destroy all other creatures that aren't artifact or black. They can't be regenerated. So sweet. It's just like a board wipe with a 6/6 flyer. I'm playing with both right now, kind of feeling them out. I really don't get to play them as much as I would like because, I don't know, it just doesn't happen. Here's the rest of the 8 casting cost stuff, which is pretty high. Avatar of Woe, 6/5. If there are 10 or more creature cards in total graveyards, Avatar of Woe costs 6 less to cast. I've never been able to cast it for just 2. Not yet, at least. It is Fear, whichever one that is. Damn Fear and Intimidate. And you tap it, destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. I kind of put it on the same category as the Gorgon. The Gorgon costs 6 and 3 to activate. And an Avatar of Woe costs 8 with no activation cost. And it's pretty different. I mean, this is 6/5, so it's more of an attacking threat too. Let's keep moving. Right now I'm not playing with Gristlebrand, even though he's so fun. Cool art. 8 mana, 7/7, flying, lifelink. Pretty much... you can do it before you attack too. But let's say you attack. He has lifelink, you gain 7 life. You basically pay 7 life to draw 7 cards. And when you're doing that with this deck, it's pretty much over. Unless they're going to do something really chintzy. Whatever that word even means. But yeah, I mean, it's late game if you're playing this. It's turn 8. You attack with them on turn 9. That's so late. It's just very late game geared. Pestilence Demon is fun. It can be a game ender. It's 8 mana for a 7/6 flyer, and then he has the same ability as Pestilence. You can pay 1, Pestilence Demon deals 1 damage to each creature and player. So yeah, play it on turn 8. Turn 9, you can deal crazy amounts of damage, wipe their side of the board, and attack. I don't know, I mean, turn 8 you play this, turn 9 you can attack for 7, and then deal 9 damage. So that's 16 damage, which would probably take them out. So he'll probably get dealt with. Plague Wind. 9 mana, which is a lot. That's really a lot and hard for me to deal with. Destroy all creatures you don't control. They can't be regenerated. I really put this in the same level. Come on, you bugger. In the same level as Reaver Demon, but without a flyer. I mean, it's 1 less mana. And yeah, you're pretty much gambling on the fact that you're not going to be playing a deck with black creatures in it. But with the meta right now, I might pull out these Reaver Demons for something else. Not Plague Wind, but maybe a Gristlebrand or something else. But yeah, this deck's really fun. If I was going to do any tweakings right now... I don't even know. I guess I'm pretty content with my deck as is. But yeah, if I was going to do anything, I'd probably pull out one of those fatties at the end, a Reaver Demon. And then maybe throw in that other Icy Manipulator just because I like the control. But yeah, that's it for this vid. If you're good with mechanics, it's getting to the point where it's hard to lose with this deck. And it's pretty much no early game creatures. I got those Shades as removal bait. Vampire Nighthawk is removal bait. Obliterator is your good game card. And then every other creature is fat. Fatty fat fats. So it's pretty much delaying the game until you get to your fat. That's fine by me. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. Phone Cats.